Before we start today's show, we tell you about the Oxford Exxon Blue Sky there on Highway 6 West in Oxford. You can use the mobile rewards app, Speed Pass Plus. A lot of different ways to save money with the Blue Sky and the Oxford Exxon. And when you head to the convenience store, take advantage of those stadium cups available at the pavilion. You purchase one, take it by any Blue Sky location in Mississippi, and you get a 49-cent fill-up on that stadium cup. Way to quench your thirst there with Blue Sky and the Oxford Exxon. You know, the lunch specials are $4.99 every single day, 2 sides bread, 32-ounce drink, or some ribs if you'd like to take care of dinner tonight. Also coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio, 662-257-1900, Highway 25 South there in Amory. You know, all you have to do is call Corey. Within 15 minutes during business hours, you're going to get a quote. Shop it around, take it. It's going to be the best deal. So when you're signing the paperwork right there toward the end, mention the podcast, any of our MPW Digital family of podcasts. $500 off with Clark Ford. Now on to the show.
From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MPW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. We'll talk some basketball, Ole Miss and Florida tonight, 5:30 from the O'Connell Center in Gainesville, Florida. Big one for Ole Miss, trying to break their recent skid. Another big week ahead, obviously, including State on Saturday. Kind of curious if they will have one of their better players, Nick Weatherspoon. He got injured last night against Alabama as the Tide knocked off the Bulldogs. So we'll talk a lot of basketball today and more on the show. Also, as we get close to potentially a Jeffrey girlfriend appearance on The Bachelor, my mother informed me this morning, Neil, that off the top of her head, there have been 4 or 5 couples from The Bachelor make it and stay together over the years. So it appears that I think she might have had some offense that our ratio was as low as we indicated that it was. It appears to be 1 out of 7 or so, I think.
I think Jordan Rogers, believe it or not, his significant other was met on that particular program.
Really?
I'm almost positive that I'm right. He's still with the one
Yeah,
who
she
got
rattled
the
off
final
4 or
rose.
5. So it's not just Trista and Ryan. There are some others, apparently.
Yeah, there's some others. It's like 5 for 30-something. It's about like real life.
That gives it some credibility then.
It's a good show. I'm telling you.
Being a good show and being realistic to actually finding a mate are not tied together whatsoever.
But there's lots of people in real life that go searching for a mate that screw it up every bit as bad as the people on The Bachelor.
Are you advocating this is a healthy way to go about things?
No, I'm not. But I'm also saying that there are a lot of remarkably unhealthy ways in the real world, too. Like going out to the bars and only going to bars looking for your significant other is probably an error. My grandmother was always like, you should go to church. Well, you're not. I mean, come on. That's not real either. What do? You
can't find a significant other at church?
You could.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not.
Are you saying that you go to every youth group and every small group and all these Wednesday night things, you'll never find a mate in church? That's what you're saying.
I'm going to say that you are going to you are going to have a very specific pocket of candidates there.
Much like the bar, probably.
Much like the bar, as opposed to a more well-rounded deal where you spend some time at the mansion, you spend some time in Malaysia, you do all sorts of things.
Neal McCready, everyone, saying that The Bachelor makes more sense than church or bars to pick up and find significant others because there's more well-rounded people on The Bachelor, is what he's saying. So.
Well, they're psychopaths for the most part, but you know that going in, right? I mean, if you're this guy, you know, okay, 30 women signed up for this. The odds are overwhelming that the following apply to the majority of them. 1, they're seeking celebrity. Okay. So are you. 2, they have some sort of drama in their lives that set them apart, some sort of a storyline that set them apart that can be used for programming purposes on the program.
Or the storyline's just fake.
Or it's fake. regardless, they've got to act that storyline
Sure.
out. They don't get to come on and then 2 episodes in go, hey, yeah, really that didn't happen. My family didn't die in a machete fire. You know what I mean? I mean,
This is a microaggression to the girls that just come seeking love, that are wholesome Southern girls that have no backstory, no ill intent, if you will.
no, because sometimes they sneak them in.
So now it's a mystery. It's up to you to figure out which ones are relatively sane.
Well, for example, at the end of Monday's edition of The Bachelor, which was a very poor episode.
The most dramatic rose ceremony ever.
It actually was a very not dramatic rose ceremony. The entire thing was, we learned some stories. We found out that a lot of things had happened to these girls that had led them to this place.
Sure.
But at the end, what they teased for Monday's show was apparently one of the ones who has been the most sane so far just losing it. Just losing it. Looked like an absolute emotional mental breakdown from one of the ones who had so far been presented to us, the viewing audience, as pretty sane.
Okay.
Stable.
Fair enough.
Was in fact one of my candidates to be the next Bachelorette, except for the fact that she was a little old.
So no longer.
No longer. So now what we're seeing is the stereotypical, she's in her early 30s, not married yet, so she's desperate and she's losing it.
Okay. Got to get to basketball in 1 second. This was brought up on the message board yesterday. I found it interesting. I did not know this. I'm not going back and looking through a bunch of movies and stuff. That 30 years ago this year was 1989. The number of movies that came out in 89 that have had not necessarily critical acclaim, there's a few of those, but just staying power as popular in movies, cult classics, things we find on cable these days as well. I'm going to run down this list a little bit because I was fascinated by this because I don't think in 30 years we're going to have that kind of thing from this group. I feel like we're getting fewer and fewer movies that are just sort of fun to watch these days compared to past years, which a lot of that's because, hey, storylines get taken. You end up with remakes and a lot of stuff like that. But anyway, so Batman, the Michael Keaton version, 1989, that was number one in the box office, by the way, for the year. It did $251 million at the box office, which in 89 money is pretty good money. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon 2, Look Who's Talking, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Back to the Future 2, Ghostbusters 2, Driving Miss Daisy, Dead Poet Society, When Harry Met Sally, The War of the Roses, Little Mermaid, Still Magnolias, Christmas Vacation, Turner and Hooch, Born on the 4th of July, Uncle Buck, Field of Dreams, that terrible film, Pet Cemetery, if you care, Major League, we talk about that all the time, Karate Kid 3, Fletch Lives is on here, Weekend at Bernie's, Peter Pan. I mean, tons of stuff's a reissue, obviously, for Peter Pan, but it's a dang good year in movies in '89 that we just don't. I don't feel like we get that these days. Get a 25 movie year where it's like, oh, this is again not not critically acclaimed, but just fun, just good films from a hey, this is pretty watchable. Let's flip it on and see what happens. We don't get that now.
No, we really don't, because everything is
Roadhouse, 1989, that masterpiece.
Yeah, because everything now is Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that.
Say Anything on here.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Really? I feel like it'd be kind of in your wheelhouse from a how old you are standpoint. John Cusack holding the boombox up over his head.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
I
a
ever
very
saw
cliche
that one.
movie. You don't know.
Did you see where James Ingram, the singer, died yesterday?
What happened?
I think he had cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My brother and I were talking this morning that he was like one of those crooners, for lack of a better word. Died at age 66.
Okay.
Grammy Award winner, James Ingram. Like kind of kind of like a ballad. A lot of ballads. He sang. Let's see. I'm trying to find a list of his songs. I know some of the lyrics and stuff, but I can't think of like the song.
Just Once.
Just Once.
I Don't Have the Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good songs. When you listen to 80s radio,
It's like 80s R&B is what it is.
but when I listen to Sirius XM, I listen to 80s a lot, and that's not what survives.
No.
What you get is a lot of Toto and Survivor and Journey, more band stuff.
Yeah.
And those guys were good, like him and Peebo Bryson and
The pump you up, not bring you down, is what
Yeah.
survives.
yeah, I guess so.
Anything Journey did, you're still hearing it today. Even some foreigners lasted.
Yeah, foreigner.
Foreigner. Yeah.
I have some foreigner on my playlist.
Do you?
Yeah.
Which ones?
I don't remember, but I've got some on there. I can tell you.
No,
real quick.
I don't care.
You don't care?
Much.
All right.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure the hits. I don't think you're doing like obscure foreigner.
No,
that would be.
I like the hits. When you run to the hits.
But you can't run to things that bring you down, can you? You're not
No.
gonna turn on you're not gonna turn on a lot of ballads.
No, I'm not going to run to like just once.
But you got like Jukebox Hero, Cold as Ice, Hot Blooded, like
Yeah.
Temperatures, obviously.
Yeah.
Feels like the first time.
Jukebox Heroes on there. It's
Is
a
it?
good song. Yeah, it's a good song to run to.
Okay.
It's a nice beat, easy to dance to.
Did you see the video we were tagged in yesterday about the milk and bread sandwiches from the snow?
Yeah.
I was going to play the audio, but I don't have it queued up. But if you haven't seen it, it's pretty funny based off our conversation yesterday. James Spann, noted weatherman,
yes.
meteorologist.
Yes.
He did a little bit where they said they might have some accumulation. It could possibly stick this time. And before he announced it on the airwaves, he went and moved all of his stock into milk and bread and grocery stores and different things. And they said this could be insider trading potentially as they rack it up. So pretty good thing there if you didn't see
good.
it. I kind of laughed a little bit.
That is good.
Ole Miss, Florida tonight at 5:30 for that one. The line is sitting at Florida minus 5.5 as of right now. From a money line standpoint, if you bet on the Gators, you got to give up $240 to win $100. If you would like to bet on the Rebels, you can give up $100 to win $205. So 5.5, and then somewhere in that 2 to 2.5 range from a money line standpoint. And Odd Shark is predicting a 70 to 67 Florida win. I'll check Ken Palm here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, look, Florida's not particularly good, and they haven't played particularly well.
And they have some abysmal days. They're pretty schizophrenic as far as basketball teams go.
And Ole Miss has gotten that way too. So, hell, I don't know what's going to happen in this one.
Ken Palm giving Florida a 69% chance to win the basketball game, 68-62 Gators for Ken Palm.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're predicting the game, you're going with you're going with the Gators. If you're picking Ole Miss, you're picking with likely your heart. But they've got to play. Ole Miss. What I'm curious to see this week, can you play better? And they get Mississippi State on Saturday, and it did not look good for Nick Weatherspoon. I hope he's okay. I'll never be that guy. These people these people that cheer for injuries, man. I can't do that. It did not look good. The way they kind of immediately carried him off makes me wonder if what they saw, what they knew. He did come back out and sit on the bench with ice on the knee. So maybe it's not super serious.
And I actually was a little wrong here. I think perception was different when I just look at Florida and the season they've had. By the way, from an adjusted efficiency standpoint, Ole Miss's offense will get a huge test tonight. Florida's 104 in offensive efficiency. However, they are 9th nationally in defensive efficiency coming into today. So 104 offense, 9 on defense. They are second in the country in turnover percentage defensively as far as turning teams over. So maybe your stat to watch tonight if you'd like one. And when I look at Florida's season, they've got a lot of really close losses where they played well. They lost to Oklahoma by 5 on a neutral site. That's not going to hurt you. They lost to Butler by 7 on a neutral site. They lost a home game by 4 to Michigan State. The Spartans have been outstanding for most of this season. And I think perception-wise, even though they've won a lot of SEC games since then, you all right? They lost that game at South Carolina at home to kick off league play. And I think that, if anything, changed everything from what we thought about the Gators. Since then, they beat Arkansas on the road. Then they lose to Tennessee and Mississippi State, where they played fairly well, beat Georgia and A&M, lose that game to TCU. But, Neil, this game, as big as it is for Ole Miss, might be just as big for Florida because Ken Palm right now has them 10-8 in the league and very, very bubbly. And after Ole Miss tonight, they've got Kentucky at home, at Auburn, and at Tennessee. That's kind of a stretch here where if they don't get this one, they could lose 3-4 in a row and be in really rough shape by the time that they can rebound a little bit.
Well, yeah, what applies to them, what applies to Ole Miss applies to them. You got to win games. Everybody gets hung up on net and strength of schedule and all that stuff, and I get it. I totally understand where that comes from. But if you don't win the games, it doesn't matter. They don't look at your net if you're 7-11 in the league. You got to win games. Florida's got to win some games. They've played a great schedule, and that's why their net's really good. They didn't stack stupid wins the way that a lot of teams do, where you play Sisters of the Poor and then you play Sisters of the Poor State. But you have to win. They probably can get in at 10-8 in the league, but you're going to have to win. They have not played winning basketball much lately.
No, they're just kind of okay. I mean,
they're all right.
They are currently 38 in the net as of right now.
Yeah, I mean they're an absolute walking, talking poster child.
Ole Miss is 36. Florida's 38.
It's like Ole Miss. Look, man. I mean, people go, "What do you think?" Well, number one, I don't think this is a tournament team. But if it is, they're going to have to win games. And I know that's a duh statement, but it's true. You have to win. Ole Miss still doesn't have any bad losses. But you got to win games.
Tennessee last night, going over the schedule, they moved to 19-1 and 7-0 in the SEC with a 92-70 win in Columbia, South Carolina. Really dominated throughout. I think they've won 15 in a row overall. Admiral Schofield, 24 points, 9 boards and 4 assists for the Volunteers. Kentucky just annihilates Vanderbilt in Nashville. That is a combination of Kentucky getting better every time out and Vanderbilt throwing in as many towels as humanly possible. They are just having that devastating season currently. They are 9-11 overall, 0-7 in the SEC following this 87-52 loss to the Wildcats. Kentucky, all of a sudden, you look up, they're 17-3, 6-1, and in business. Maybe not as good as Tennessee, but as good as everybody else for sure. And then
they're very talented.
Yeah.
He's a very good coach. He doesn't get credit for being a good coach.
The best game of the night was in Tuscaloosa last night, as we mentioned Weatherspoon going out, but Alabama holds on, wins 83-79 at home against Mississippi State. The Crimson Tide now 13-7, 4-3 in the league. State 15-5, 3-4. And then in
where's Alabama in the net?
I'll look in a second. And then Georgia and Arkansas last night in Fayetteville. Arkansas 70, Georgia 60 in that one. So Arkansas at least kind of treading water again. They are now 12-8, 3-4 in the league.
For the past 2 weeks, they've shown some life. They have a pulse. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying they're threatening for a tournament or anything.
They've looked
like
okay since Oxford.
They've had a pulse since Oxford. I think in Oxford, everybody thought they were dead, including Mike Anderson.
They look dead.
But they've had a pulse since then.
Bama is at 43 in the net, and Arkansas is at 69 as of right now.
Yeah, 69 is way too low. You're not going to come back from that.
Well, no, Ole Miss just needs them in the top 75 should anything matter down the road.
Yeah, and they might get that. Alabama's got a chance. They're an athletic group now and have 2 or 3 guys who can really play.
They feel like they're on the wrong side of it, but we'll see.
And I tell you what, you give me John Petty on my team anytime you want.
Schedule for tonight, we know about Ole Miss and Florida. Your other games are Missouri at Auburn tonight at Auburn Arena. Tiger's probably going to get healthy for that one. What's Austin Wiley's status? Where is he right now as we move forward?
He's not going to play tonight. Might play this weekend when they play Alabama. He's getting close, is what I read.
Did you know that Florida's court was now called the Exact Tech Arena?
Yes, I saw that today.
I did not know that.
I saw that.
How long has that been a thing? I had always known that as the O'Connell Center.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who is O'Connell in Florida?
I don't know.
Lower. Is he a player or is he like a booster that gave tons of money?
Must have been a booster.
You think so?
I don't know. I'm that's one of those schools that I have no familiarity with.
LSU at A&M is your other game tonight. If you have any care, that's at 8:00 Central for that one. I have no real read on A&M right now after they looked pretty good in the Big 12 SEC thing the other day, but they've looked pretty pathetic in most of their conference games. So that's the rundown there. I had the net up real quick. Yeah, I guess really Virginia survived a scare last night, beating NC State in overtime. Iowa State moved up in the net to number 12, so the Cyclones now at 12. Whatever that matters. LSU's moved up to 16. And then Auburn hanging on at 25. Ole Miss desperately, if anything matters later, needs them to stay in the top 30. They also have State currently at 26 as of right now. Baylor all the way up to 34. If you look at big movers, the Baylor Bears jump 8 more spots this week and become, frankly, in the tournament as of right now.
Everybody loves to take shots, self-included, hand raise, at Scott Drew. He's done a really good job with that group.
Shown some actual coaching chops with this group. This group doesn't have that 2 top 10 kids that are just carrying you deal.
I saw a few minutes of one of their games not long ago, and they were playing really sound basketball.
It's fair. It's a good win for Ole Miss. This is the moves forward either way.
Potentially a huge win for Ole Miss.
Yeah. Neutral site.
It's frankly one of the sexier wins for Ole Miss.
It's the win.
And if you're Ole Miss, you need out. I know nobody wants to cheer for Mississippi State. I get it. You need Auburn and Mississippi State to win. You do not need those 2 teams to start plummeting in the net.
No.
Because you don't have a ton of great wins.
Take a break in our show today. Tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Settle County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting that understands your market. A leader in condo financing and the float-down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. You can find Jason Lowe at 662-234-2704 or JLowe, JLOWE, at communitymtg.com.
Starts at 10 o'clock this morning. 10 o'clock this morning, Home 2 Suites, Oxford. Make the call. Get online. If you are looking for a home base for the 2019 football season, Home 2 Suites, Oxford would be perfect. It's just off it's about a mile off campus, a mile from the square, off the Old Taylor Road exit. Great facility. It's brand new. It's terrific. They also have some rooms available for Grove Bowl weekend and also double-decker weekends. That's Home 2 Suites, Oxford. It's pet-friendly in a part of town that's really booming, and you're not far from campus at all. We're also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He has been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. It's harryalexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab. Filter through by what you're looking for. Send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. The Ole Miss men's basketball team returns to the Pavilion on Saturday, February 2nd. They take on Mississippi State. You won't want to miss the second running of the Baby Dega 500 at halftime. Standing room only tickets remain and can be purchased at the Pavilion ticket office on game day. I need to remember to get a standing room only ticket for Carson. Okay. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. Ole Miss baseball season right around the corner. Season tickets start at just $150. For the number 13 ranked Diamond Rebels, to purchase, visit OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss women's team back in the Pavilion tomorrow night as they take on the Auburn Tigers at 7. For more info, visit OleMissSports.com. And the Ole Miss women's tennis team back at the William Galtney Indoor Center on Sunday, February the 3rd, as they take on Tulane at noon. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com.
Scripted Jewelry, scriptedjewelry.com. Go to the website. Take advantage of all the different products. They'll even show you what's been recently purchased by some other people. Put your John Hancock. Put great messages, sentimental messages on jewelry of your choice for that special someone in your life. Makes for Valentine's Day presents, graduation presents, Mother's Day presents, birthdays, anything you have. You can put that extra touch with scriptedjewelry.com. Remember, when you use the coupon code REBELS10, REBELS10 at checkout, you get 10% off with Scripted Jewelry, and you can still get rush ordering for Valentine's Day through February 6th. So, again, check them out, scriptedjewelry.com. Mike White, obviously the coach at Florida. We talked about this a little yesterday, that name popped up, frankly, because things hadn't been going well since that season where I think they made the Elite Eight. I think South Carolina might have knocked them off for the Final Four,
that
if
is
I remember
correct.
correctly.
That's correct.
Been around this league for a while, covering basketball. We don't run into Florida a whole lot, but what is sort of the expectation there? Because Billy Donovan wins 2 titles in a row with those stacked rosters. They had another Final Four under Lon Kruger in 2000, I think, when they lost to Michigan State, if I have that right. But either way, they've been relatively good for a long time, but I never get the sense that fan base goes, hey, Final Four or bust. So what is sort of the baseline for them?
Lon Kruger's a great coach. He's a great coach. Look at the job he's done everywhere he's ever been.
Is that right? It was Lon Kruger?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Billy Donovan's just terrific. I watch Billy Donovan teams night in and night out. And I know he has Russell Westbrook, and I know he has Paul George, and I know he had Kevin Durant when they went to the Western Conference Finals. But I look at the job that Billy Donovan's done with Terrence Ferguson, 20-year-old second-year player. I look at the job that he's done with Jeremy Grant, with Nerlens Noel, with role players at the NBA level, and the conclusion that I've reached is that he's one hell of a good coach. The Thunder 32-18 in a Western Conference where there are just so many good teams. They're right there. So I think a lot of Florida's success, much as it has been in football, is when they have great coaches, they do really well. When they don't have great, it's not like Alabama where you or me could roll out there and go 9-3 at Alabama. I firmly believe that. I think you could hire me as the head coach at Alabama, and I'd go 9-3. I'm totally serious.
Okay.
I don't think it's that way at Florida. I think it's about elite coaching, and to this point, Mike hasn't proven to be an elite coach. He's a good coach. Did a really good job at Louisiana Tech. And he when he inherited Billy's players, he did a really good job at first at Florida. They've not been able to recruit to the level of some of the other teams in the league. And it shows. What is expectation there? I don't know. I think the expectation there is to be a perennial NCAA tournament team, which they mostly have, but to win games and to go deep in the tournament and make Final Fours and compete for national titles and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they've seen it. It's doable. I mean, that's where expectation comes from in a lot of places. Is to say, actually, there's evidence of that. You can do it here. I think it's harder for them. It's going to be strange because it helps everybody else in so many ways. I think Florida's the team that potentially the league seeing so much better hurts because they haven't been able to be that number two that's also going to get the kids. You don't have as much recruiting, kind of enemies, if you will, around you, and they can kind of sit below Kentucky as under the radar as a top 15 program can be. I think when the league gets good and you got to find your territories, you got to recruit against 10, 11, 12 other teams that at least have some tournament capability. I think that made the Gators' job harder because they never needed the SEC to prop them up. But with the SEC propping up everybody else, I think it brought some parity and brought everybody other than Kentucky back down to earth a little bit.
I think that's fair. There's a lot of teams around the league that the league's different now than it was just a few years ago. I mean, this has been chronicled. Mike Slob demanded before he left the position. He demanded that the league get serious about basketball. He insisted upon it. And the league did get good at basketball. And it's about programming. And, he knew this was the biggest high-volume programming that they could produce. Midweek programming. You could play games on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Unlike football where you're going to have – football's great, but it's Saturday. It's not Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. It's Saturday. Yeah. And so
SEC teams really do not play on Thursday night.
I mean, you can mix one in here and there, but –
better be a reason.
But basketball season starts in November. It doesn't end until March, and you can program, but it has to be good to get programming. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. It's as the league's gotten good, it brings when everyone at the bottom comes up, the top comes down, with the exception of the super elite. And there's only one super elite program in the league, and that's Kentucky. There's no other super elite basketball program in the SEC.
See, yesterday were the top 5 viewing numbers for the basketball season as far as games has involved Kentucky or Duke this season. That's it. If there was a game in the top 5, it had one of those two teams in it so far. I mean, they were making the argument, and maybe some of this is because for whatever reason, at least in other parts of the country, the Midwest, I don't know if it's what they've been through with FBI stuff. I don't know what it is. The guy was making the argument that there might really only be 2 nationally power programs in the country, and that's Duke and Kentucky. Obviously, leaving Kansas out of that argument.
Yeah, and I can't go there. Kansas recruits at an elite level.
Well, no, we're talking about just viewership, where the average fan who they really will go, hey, this team's on, let's watch. And the argument was Duke or Kentucky.
It's probably true. It's probably true.
Yeah, just a hypothetical. I have no reason, no idea. But
how many football programs do you think meet that criteria? Where they're on, I watch. Alabama.
Clemson now.
Probably Clemson.
Yeah.
Probably still Ohio State. Maybe Oklahoma. Maybe.
And the one that has fallen off the map is USC.
Yeah, and Notre Dame. No one's watching Notre Dame.
No, they don't
just because they're Notre Dame.
No. Now they can get back there, but no. There's that group that can jump back. But
my point is that now that there's so much on where you can, I've said this before, if you wanted to become an Oregon State fan for whatever reason in Mississippi, you could. All their games basically are on television. If you live in Oregon and you want to become an Ole Miss fan, you watch every game.
Yeah.
Every game.
In every sport.
I mean, think about this for a minute. You live in pick a town in Oregon. I don't care.
Bend, Oregon.
And you decide, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to become an Ole Miss fan. You can subscribe to this site for $9.95 a month and have some sort of satellite or cable provider that allows you to use an ESPN login, and you can watch every Ole Miss football game, most every Ole Miss basketball game, and a lot of Ole Miss baseball games. Read about it on this site, follow a few Twitter accounts, and you could be a very educated, perfectly consumed Ole Miss fan in Bend, Oregon. It was not that way 25 years ago.
Frankly, it wasn't that way 10 years ago to that extent.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can see everything.
You can live in somewhere in Massachusetts and decide,
an ESPN account, an ESPN cable account of however you want to do that, and a RebelGrove.com subscription, and I'm 100% in.
Know as much as you need to know.
Yeah.
No more than you need to know. And can watch most every game, every football game, most every basketball game.
Everything but a road non-con.
Yeah, and see as much baseball pretty much as you want. It might not be the greatest view or whatnot, but you can see it.
Again, everything but road non-con.
Yeah.
Softball, soccer, if you'd like.
It's unbelievable.
It helps everything. I mean, we've heard all the Olympic sports talk about how it helps the recruiting because you tell the parents, hey, look, every day.
You won't be able to go see
game.
little Jenny's volleyball game. But
yeah. If she goes to Marquette, you might not can do that here.
But if Marquette goes to Oxford, yeah, you can watch. Might not be the greatest view in the world, but it'd be right there.
You'll see what she's doing. You keep up in live time.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's huge. It is. It's huge. I don't know why I picked Bend, Oregon.
I don't know. Why not?
Isn't that the place where the only Blockbuster is still open?
I don't know.
I think there's one Blockbuster open in the U.S., and it's in Bend, Oregon for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's fascinating.
Let me look at that up. I think I'm right. Blockbuster still open. That's what you get on the podcast. We've attacked Iowa after so many years of loving Iowans, and now
we switched to Oregon.
We switched to Oregon.
Well, we found out that Iowa's a hateful place. Hateful place.
I didn't get any pushback, though, on Twitter or anything. I think the Iowans left us alone.
I think they figured out we were being sarcastic. Or they didn't care.
Yeah, Bend, Oregon. Seeing a story from Washington Post says it's the lead of the story. Is a man parked his motorcycle on the sidewalk Saturday morning, ruining the aesthetic of the last-running Blockbuster in the contiguous United States. You can't park there, General Manager Sandy Harding told the man as he walked into the store in Bend, Oregon. People are trying to take pictures. The man paused for a beat. There was confusion in response. Trying to take pictures? Somehow it missed the past decade when Blockbuster, the video rental behemoth, became blockbuster, the fallen victim of modernity. In 2004, the company's peak city blocks and suburban strip malls nationwide were studied with 9,000 blockbuster outlets, a one-time indelible fixture of the family movie night, but soon after, Netflix, Redbox, and the cold march of digital progress eroded the customer base at each store. That was pretty good writing there for always talking about a video store being still open, but nonetheless, there's that. One open, Bend, Oregon. You can go and...
I worked at a video store in Ruston when I was a kid, son.
Did you really?
I did.
Like
National Video.
What was the late fee policy at National Video if you kept it too long? How many days did you get? Was that still when you just got one, or was that when they had moved up to where you got like the 5 or whatever?
Yeah, 1 day, and then if you got like 3 days, there's another fine. And then
but you only got 1 day. So if you rent that puppy, you got to watch it that night.
You had 1 day rentals, or you could do a 3-day rental.
You could?
I think you could even do a 1 week rental. But there were prices that were different.
I recall when Movie Gallery, I think it was Movie Gallery, switched to a 5-day rental where you got that thing for 5 days, which was great when you rented it, especially if you're doing like video games. But then became a major problem when you're waiting on that movie to come back. That was the problem. Is a lot of movies you only had 1 copy of it in the store.
Yeah.
And if it's a 5-day rental, you're just kind of screwed for a while.
The part of that job that I remember hating was having to call people who still had the video out.
Ooh.
And ask them to please bring the video back.
Did you get excuses and stuff?
Well, you'd get excuses. You'd get yelled at.
Why would you get yelled at?
Because don't bother me at home.
Well, you have the video, idiot.
You have my video, lady.
And we're talking about like VHSs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there a penalty if you didn't rewind?
There was, but we never really. We were told not to really enforce that. But then we had a rewind machine that we would rewind.
So when they brought it in, you'd have to put it on the machine, and you would rewind it.
You'd rewind it, put it back in the box, and go put it in the right place. And on like a Friday night when you were slammed, it was a lot of work.
It's buzzing.
It was busy.
People waiting on movies to come in and stuff.
Absolutely.
Would you call people if a movie came in? Would you have a way to reserve or wait or anything?
I don't remember. It seems like there was something along those lines.
Was there?
Yeah, but that was a lot of added work.
Well, it's the job. That's what you signed up for.
We were busy.
That's what they were paying you $3.50 an hour for.
Yeah, there were some busy nights.
Would you rent R-rated movies to kids? Were there rules on that?
Oh yeah, there were absolutely rules on that.
But I
didn't want to get fired. No, I didn't. I didn't want to lose my job.
So you tell little Johnny, sorry, 9.5 weeks is not going home with you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you?
Yeah, you have to get a parent here to do that.
Well, parents not going to sign off on that.
All the new releases. Sometimes we'd get yelled at because someone had put the wrong video in the wrong box.
Ooh, that'll get you.
Yeah, that'll get you. That'll get somebody riled up. They get
that
all
pissed
the way
me off
home.
too. I get home and I'm ready to watch Top Gun, and when I open it up, it's something else. Yeah,
it's not good. That would happen.
Would it?
Oh yeah.
So, well, but shouldn't you check that when you're checking the person out, where you open the box and you close it again?
Yep. Not everybody was as diligent as I was, as thorough as I was. I was a very good employee.
You could have really had some madness if people wanted to like peel labels and put them on other films and stuff. You could have had.
There was some madness.
Had some madness?
Yeah, there was stuff. I was not one to instigate madness.
You recall any movies that were real popular at the time that had to, you really had people scrambling for them when they'd come in?
This would have been like 86, 87. So I don't know. A lot of nights, a lot of weekends.
What day did you get the releases in the week? So that was your big day where everything's coming in, so people's trying to check the day out.
I don't recall. I remember, as you might expect, Friday and Saturday nights were the busy nights. Yes.
Were you open on Sunday?
Yes.
So did that give people an extra day to keep it?
We were open on Sunday. I worked some Sunday afternoons because I didn't have football or anything on Sunday.
When I search 1986 movie releases, I get Aliens, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Platoon, Top Gun, Labyrinth, Crocodile Dundee, The Transformers.
I do remember Crocodile Dundee being very popular.
That would seem to be a big VHS.
That was a big one.
Paul Hogan probably doing pretty well in the residuals from that one for a little while there.
I would think.
Yeah, Big Trouble in Little China, Short Circuit. Hey, 9.5 weeks, 1986. Look at me right there with the pull.
Hell of a good movie.
The Money Pit, and whatever.
When you were 16, 9.5 weeks was a pretty good movie.
We're going to have some poor 13-year-old going, well, on the podcast today, parental discretion is advised.
Only place I was seeing it when I was that age, so,
We had some podcasts that in the past have had the little E next to them. This is not typically one that would be that situation.
Don't Google 9.5 weeks, little 13-year-old out there listening. Just leave it alone.
Stop it. Thanks.
Oh, they've seen much worse in all likelihood.
You think so?
Today?
Not the wool is not over your eyes. Is that?
Come on. You ever thought about that? Like, how hard it would be to be a kid now? I mean, back when we were kids, you're younger than me. When I was a kid, I mean, if you had that curiosity, and you did, there was really no way to explore it.
You didn't even have like 10:30 p.m. Cinemax.
Well, we did. We did have neighbors that had Skinamax.
There was the house in the neighborhood that.
Yeah, but I mean, you're like waiting up for something specific, and the movie didn't start till midnight, and there was like a 25-second thing in there somewhere. So it was hard to, it wasn't on demand. You had to wait for it. And there were
cost-benefit analysis was not very good on that, frankly.
There were families in the hood that the dad had stashes of magazines, and if you got into the house at a time when they weren't there and you knew precisely where to look, and you were smart enough to remember to put it back where it was before you. Yeah, I mean there were opportunities to explore.
But not a click of a button.
But it wasn't like it is now, where you're like, whatever your might be, enter it here, boom. There was certainly no, hub.com. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that stuff where it's like, whoa, people are into that? It wasn't like that. That didn't exist, man. I mean, so I think about, like, kids now, like boys now, like I don't know how you like manage that.
Well versed with the incognito buttons and things, and hey, here.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean,
gosh,
it's a totally different world. I mean, I've told this story on the podcast. I spent the night at Neil Fuller's house. We waited till everyone went to sleep, hoping that everyone would go to sleep, so that we could watch the movie 10 on HBO and watch Bo Derek run down the beach. Looking back on it, you didn't see that much. But it was Bo Derek in her prime, running down the beach.
Dudley Moore playing the best drunk in film history throughout his career.
Yeah. But kids today, they don't have to wait till 1 in the morning to watch HBO to see Bo Derek run down the beach, mostly naked.
I got a funny anecdote about that. People will see in print in a couple weeks. Anyway, all right. As I move along, I don't know how in the world to, but we will. Here we go. G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222 to switch over your medications. Make it simple. I had a little issue with it, but it was from the other side. G&M has been fantastic. I have done it. They will help you out all the way around. Oxford's local hometown pharmacy. Vote for them at oxfordeagle.com/best of Oxford in the pharmacy categories, and know about their compound creams. They will take care of nausea and vomiting. They've got one for that. They've got one for erectile dysfunction we've been telling you about for a while. Skin conditions, acne, eczema, and much more. So that's G&M there on South Lamar. They deliver. They do MedSync and much more. Again, 662-236-2222.
Apropos. Podcast also brought to you by Dead Soxy. We've been telling you Dead Soxy would be informing you of any new products or opportunities. They're pleased to announce a way for you, the Rebel Grove community, to be part of the process in the creation of new sock concepts. There are still limited quantities, of the Mississippi sock line available. And in an effort to launch a new line, they're increasing the discount to 30% off all items. So as this original Mississippi line comes to a conclusion, don't miss your opportunity to feel the difference a quality sock makes. There will be new concept pictures forthcoming. They really want your honest feedback and input as to what resonates with you. So help us get there. If you've if you ordered a pair or two in the past, now's a great time to round out your collection for a week. Or if you've never ordered, now's a great time. Go get 30% off. DeadSoxy.com. Enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout at DeadSoxy. 30% off all items. The podcast also brought to you by the Weston Jackson. They're the sponsors of my mailbag, which is up on the site at rebelgrove.com. Gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro tonight. Sip on a craft cocktail. Enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. So head over to the Weston Jackson tonight. Podcast also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John. He's a part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners. Allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. Get in touch with him. Give him some parameters. Let him know what you're thinking about doing, where you're thinking about going. Give him a budget, and let him give you some options. You don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services either. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
See everything there is going on in Oxford at oxfordms.com/events tonight. You got R.J. Lee with Grand Slam Murders at 5 o'clock at Off Square Books. Another night of the Princess Ball Daddy-Daughter Date Night. Saw a lot of those on Facebook last night. Get another opportunity at 6 p.m. at the Powerhouse. You got another opportunity at Off Square Books, 6 o'clock tomorrow with Chris Kander and Thacker Mountain Radio. And Ensemble 4.1 at the Ford Center for the Performing Arts tomorrow at 7:30 as well. Plenty going on February 1st. You got the Ole Miss Baseball 3rd Annual Ladies Forum and much more, including basketball against Mississippi State on Saturday. So, again, see the full calendar events at visit oxfordms.com/events. I don't really know where to go now, but we'll go somewhere. We'll continue our talk today.
It's a Wednesday. It's winter.
It feels like nothing's going on, even though it sort of is. But there's just only so much.
What do they do with baseball on a cold day like this? Do they go out and play?
Yeah, you got to get prepared for it because, I mean, you don't know what February 15th is going to bring. I mean,
This is where the advantage is. You can see it like with the Southern teams versus like if you're at Northwestern, for example.
And now they're having historic issues, but yes. I've seen Maryland and Boston College dig trenches on their field just to take ground balls in the trench, where you take out 20 feet left to right of snow and just play on this one little stretch of grass or turf or whatever it is that they have. I mean, you're at such a disadvantage. I mean, a lot of times those smaller schools that come down here for the early weekends, they're sacrificial lambs because Oxford might be the first time they take a ground ball outside is when they get here the day before the game on that Thursday.
Yeah, can you imagine? But if you're like at Purdue right now, if you don't have some sort of an indoor facility, you're not getting anything done. Nobody's going out and playing baseball in this. Minus 40. Nah, I'm good, coach. I quit.
Yeah, I had a relative from Illinois post something yesterday about the temperatures going on in northern Illinois, and it's been historic and all this stuff. And the little graphic that they had put out for their community was how to dress for the cold, basically 3 layers with at least one being insulating, gloves, 2 layers on the bottom, boots that are waterproof, outer layers to keep out wind, face mask, and hats. And it says that without that, any skin exposed, they were catching frostbite within 5 minutes outside because in the northern part of Illinois, they were having blowing snow and wind chills of somewhere around minus 60 in Illinois.
Yeah, Midway was minus 60. In Chicago, they're having to light the tracks, the train tracks on fire so that the trains can, just to warm up the track enough, that there's enough friction to do the thing. Basically, they're telling people up there, just don't go outside.
Yeah, just everything's...
Stay inside.
When the places that are that prepared for it are still dealing with it to that extent.
Well, it just tells you how it's historic cold. It's colder wind chill there than it was in the day in Green Bay when Green Bay and the Cowboys played in the famous Ice Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how cold the damn football was then?
Hard as a rock.
And you'd hit somebody's helmet with your hand. Oh, God.
I think I'd have just had a hamstring pull or something that day.
Coach Lombardi, my hamstring hurts, sir.
Sorry.
I can't go anymore.
In this cold, I can't stretch out. Can't.
I think I got something wrong, Coach.
Might have a teammate break my ankle on purpose.
So I gotta go inside, Coach.
They have heaters on sidelines?
I'm sure they did, but there's only so much you can do when it's that cold.
Just curious. I don't know. When does spring football start? Do we know its start date yet?
We have not been given a start date, but let's see. You know they're going to have a week of spring break where they won't do anything. They're practicing 3 times a week is what I've heard.
For after spring break.
So it's 5 total weeks. So I'm going to guess sometime late February.
As would be known, heavy install. Heavy install.
Yeah, I think the people who are hoping that spring is going to be tons and tons of high-intensity scrimmages are going to be disappointed. Number one, they don't.
There's a lot of head knocking going on this spring.
If I'm mad, I don't do it. I don't get anybody hurt. I don't think people understand how thin this team is. I don't think it's comprehended. I don't think we or anyone else has done a very good job of completely getting the point across.
Especially in spots like the offensive line, where we're literally talking about 6 bodies.
Yes.
Being ready to play SEC football.
Yes.
You try to find that 7th man, it's very hard to do that.
Who's ready?
You're reaching at that point to find a 7th man,
and you've got to install.
Ole Miss was fairly healthy on the offensive line this past year.
They need health to install. I can't imagine that it's going to be a super physical spring. It's going to be a lot of teaching. Kind of like an NFL franchise. There's a lot of installation, a lot of refining. They're not out there in the mini camps crushing each other.
Well, not at all.
Right. It's just, let's work on some things.
It makes for podcast fodder more than anything else. Last night, Joe Lenardi came out with another bracketology. He does it twice a week or something right now. It's his only job, so he has to do a lot of them because that's what he gets paid to do. Ole Miss, even after their bad week, still solidly in the tournament. If it started today, it doesn't. There's a lot of games, a lot of difficult games to go. But he has Ole Miss in an 8-9 game in Columbia, South Carolina against the TCU Horned Frogs as of right now. So an 8-9 game there. Just looking down the schedule a little bit. He has Kentucky as a 2 in Jacksonville. He has Alabama in a play-in game in Hartford, Connecticut as a 12 seed playing 12 seed Seton Hall as of right now. Has Baylor in as a 10 seed playing Florida State in the first round as of right now. Has Auburn as a 7 seed playing Indiana. Indiana, by the way, only 3-6 in the Big Ten. They kind of need to win some games for it to matter either way. Tennessee, a 1 seed in the Midwest in Kansas City, playing a play-in game winner and then getting NC State or Nebraska after that. And LSU is a 5. I see that. And Mississippi State is a 6 as I'm kind of looking through it. So.
Yeah, the state's in good shape, but the loss of if Weatherspoon, if it's a long-term loss, that's going to impact that team.
Lipscomb is a really sneaky good team. As a 12 seed, that'd be an interesting LSU Lipscomb game in that first round right there.
Yeah, well, they're capable.
Again, it's January 30th. I'm just talking. But.
We're 2 weeks away from really being able to be serious.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
It's the thing where in baseball, I won't really look at anything before May 1st. May 1st is the day where I go, okay, the schedules are full enough where I can kind of start piecing this together a little bit.
Well, like a team like Ole Miss will have played 5 games by the middle of February. So they're 4-2 in the league right now. I mean, if they're 4-9,
that'll put us 75% of the way almost, or at least 66% of the way.
You'll
at the time.
be 4, 6. Yeah, be almost to 2/3 through the league play. You have a good feel for it. I mean, if Ole Miss in their next 5 games goes 3-2, Well, they'd be 7-4, and now you got a shot. If they go 1-4, well, they're out realistically. So I'll watch the next 3 weeks and then I'll be able to make a much better determination of where you are.
We're just guessing here at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, but should Weatherspoon be out for any considerable amount of time, what does that do for the Bulldogs on Saturday?
Takes a lot of their depth away. Takes away one of their big scorers. It puts more pressure on his brother. It puts more pressure on what's his face? The kid that was named in the Peters.
Lamar Peters.
It changes their team. Takes away one of their better players. I thought they played well without him in the second half last night. Alabama just matched them. By the way, I don't know what Andy Kennedy's going to do, whether he's going to get back into coaching or what, but when you watch just a few college basketball games and you compare him with some of the other analysts in college basketball, frankly, there's only one in his ballpark. It's Billis. That's it. Frankly, I think Kennedy's going to get back into coaching, is my guess. But he's really
so hard
good.
to turn that off and keep it off.
Yeah. I think coaches miss the grind.
You've got to get so burnt out that you're done, or either no one will hire you to stay in it.
Or you get that elite TV gig.
And I think he's moving that direction as much as you can in year one.
He's phenomenal at it. For a guy who's never done it before, unreal.
His timing is really good. That's what I've been mostly impressed with, is not his wit or his intelligence. That's always been known, but just the timing that comes with live television.
Yeah. He and Dave Neal did a really good job on that broadcast last night. It was a good game.
Where was he at last night?
Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
It was a good game, well-played game, an exciting game. But he just sort of flowed.
Do they want him to be more studio or more on-site? What is their deal with him right now?
Originally, they were going to put him in the studio and do a lot of studio stuff, but he's really good on site. And a lot of guys aren't good.
What's more valuable?
I don't know.
On site, right?
I don't know. I mean, SEC Network on those Saturdays, when the games are over, they do that wraparound show.
Click.
I'm with you.
Right? Click.
I don't watch it. I mean, I watch it now because he's pretty funny. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many viewers who watch, let's say you watch Ole Miss and State at 2:30, and then you watch whatever the night game is Saturday night, okay? When that's over at 9:15, 9:30, how many people truly sit there and go, okay, I'm going to watch the wrap-up show now for half an hour? Let's go around the league and talk about the games today. I mean, obviously someone watches it or else they wouldn't do it. But, man, I can't imagine.
I bet a decent percentage is getting ratings or however you market that just because people fell asleep with it on the television.
Well, certainly possible. But if you're the guy who sat there and watched Ole Miss and State, maybe you're an Ole Miss fan, and you watched Ole Miss and State pretty diehard, and it ended and you threw something on the grill and you kept – and I'm making up a game.
If your team wins, you're more likely to hang around for some highlights.
It's true. But let's say for this scenario, Ole Miss played State. It's over at 5 o'clock. You light the grill. You throw some burgers on. You have a couple of pops, and you watch Missouri and Tennessee that night.
Sure, just chilling.
Just chilling out. It's on.
Yeah.
When Missouri and Tennessee is over, you're probably done. I can't imagine that you're watching.
I've watched 4.5 hours of college basketball.
I'm probably done.
I'm good.
Yeah.
2 that I was emotional about, and 2 just because I was eating a burger and had something on the television.
It was background.
Yeah.
And maybe it got close, and I really locked into the last 6 or 7 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't. It's. But football does this too. Like at the end of a Saturday. I mean, because we'll come home from a late game that we covered, and ESPN's doing this 1-hour show wrapping up, and I'm like, God, people watch this? And I guess it's sitting on my television, so the answer is yeah, people watch it.
And I'm a little more likely to see that because I've been so consumed by the game I'm at all day that it's, hey, I'll give you 20 minutes. Just did I miss something? Is there something here that I'm more likely to wind down with? Who is Hawaii on? Is Boise State on? Who's out west that I can just stare at the TV for 20 minutes while I chill?
But I think I just answered my own question. what has stuck out to me about the football playoffs from a broadcasting standpoint, and it's Romo.
Yeah, he's great.
Give me the analyst who's telling me what I'm watching.
It's not what I see, it's why I see it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Or what he see.
Right, exactly.
When a coach makes a change, especially in basketball, where if you're just a casual basketball watcher, let's face it all looks the same.
Me.
Dudes just running up and down the floor. Why does the defense suddenly work? I need the guy that can tell me why this is working.
I have to really lock in and look at it for a minute and tell you what defense somebody's in. I don't know off just staring at the screen for a second.
Right.
No idea.
I thought Romo telling me, oh, here's what Brady sees, here's what they're about to do, and this is why.
Here's the check, here's why the check. Oh, well.
Whoa. You just changed my football watching experience.
Yeah, we're not all watching the same game.
Oh, God, no, I've been telling the people that for years. Why don't y'all do more X's and O's? Because that is the quickest way to wear a T-shirt that goes, I'm an idiot. Now, the only good news is that I have lots of friends with me who are also idiots. Yeah. Because if you're sitting at that game, sitting on the 30-yard line with your wife, you don't know what you're watching. You're watching the ball. Be honest.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's the way everybody watches football.
I watch the ball, too.
You watch a series of offensive line, and then you watch the ball.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
I watch one series for each team on the offensive line, which about 85% of the time tells me who's going to win the game.
Yeah.
And then I watch the ball.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape, 662-607-7773. You also get a free quote by emailing them as well, info@gomastercuts.com. Get those contracts signed for 2019. Let them take care of everything to do with your lawn this year. They do everything from building structures, fences, patios, decks, all kind of stuff at your disposal there if you'd like. Taking care of your flower beds, pine straw, and just the basic cutting, weeding, and edging that Mastercuts provides as well. Again, that's 662-607-7773.
Pinnacle Trust hosted their annual economic forecast last night at the Country Club of Jackson. I'm told it went really well. Goldman Sachs economist John Tousley was there, spoke, as did the Pinnacle investment team. I'm told it was quite informative. And you, if you missed it, sometime probably early next week, you will be able to watch it on the Pinnacle Trust website, pintrust.com, PINN trust.com. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, represents clients in 24 states, has advisors in 3. What they do is they sit down with you regardless of your level of wealth. They listen to your goals, they study your expenses, and they put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan, one that is built just for you, not one that's like a cookie-cutter thing that you fit some category. Go to pintrust.com for more, PINNtrust.com for more. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You get 10% off your first year's fee. And guest join us. Jeffrey will join us tomorrow on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart, they are personal attorneys. They specialize in personal injury law, real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm. That's who'll handle your case, not some paralegal at a faceless corporate firm. If Patterson and Earhart can't help you, they'll refer you to someone who can. John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart are Ole Miss guys. They're local guys. And when you call them, you're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, pelaws.com. Your initial consultation is free.
Oh, we'll talk to Jeffrey about tomorrow. I don't necessarily have a topic open yet. I sort of forgot the Super Bowl was Sunday, if you want to be honest, other than seeing a little media day or media days or however that's done. I saw a couple of the dumb questions that always get asked and people trying to make a sport of it. It's also maybe some of the way we watch sports now too. I've noticed, and maybe I'm not the casual fan on this because I've zoned out for 2 weeks because of emotional reasons. I don't see where the whole Super Bowl media day is as big of a deal as it used to be. That used to be a really big deal.
I think it's more, there's fewer media that go now because there's been
because it used to everybody was cash register, so you just send everybody.
Yeah, so many layoffs. Companies don't send people for as long.
Okay.
I mean, do you
Because every paper would go to that thing and find some random local angle with some kid or some dude or something.
Well, I can remember when I was covering the Saints and they went to the NFC Championship game in Chicago, I had been told if they won, I was going to the Super Bowl for a week. And I was like, God dang.
What am I doing?
What am I going to do for a week? I don't know now. I just think it's different. Speaking of money and stuff, tell me this.
Okay.
You're smart with stuff.
All right.
Major League Baseball has 3 seasons left on their current labor agreement.
Okay.
It's a labor agreement that was agreed to by both sides. So when one side bitches about a labor,
They both said yes, whatever.
you said yes. You signed it.
Yeah.
There was no gun to your head. Players are not happy with free agency. It's almost February.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks till camp starts.
The
And
no-sign team is better than everybody that has signed at this point.
Yes, everyone is focused on Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, but the list of players who are not signed is a long list.
Good players, yeah.
If you read much inside baseball stuff, and I do, they'll tell you that the odds of a work stoppage in 3 years are growing rapidly. Can Major League Baseball or any sport afford a work stoppage where maybe most of the season was lost? In today's market where you are forgotten so fast.
Okay. It's a little counterintuitive. The obvious answer is no one wants that, and yes, anyone's hurt. So let's get that out of the way. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Obviously, the baseline is going to be lower than it is now for anyone.
Sure.
I think it withstands it in its own way as well as anything would given the circumstance because it's such a regional sport. You're no longer needing that national thing. Because look, baseball is not national anymore, period. We talk about this all the time. There's 1,000 different reasons. There's 1,000 different ways to explain why that is from a perception standpoint, but it's not. It's a regional thing. It's more regional than college football. You care about your team and who your team plays in their division. That's it. Chicago cares about the Cubs and the Cardinals and the Brewers and the Pirates, and that's what they do. The Braves are really worried about the Phillies right now. That's the deal. That's what we do right now. So because of that, when your team comes back, you're probably going to justify it for the most part. You're going to blame somebody else, and you're going to care about your team. Baseball, over the last dozen years, however long it's been, the casual viewer, the Dubuque, Iowan, is not what's pushing Braves coverage, watching the Braves play. So I think because they don't need, their business model is set to not require as many casual eyeballs as maybe some other sports do, that they could maintain it because there's a big emotional element, there's a big geographical element, and there are things that would allow you to still care about your team when it returned, if that makes sense.
It does. It's just interesting to me. Jeffrey and I were talking about this the other day.
It was more of a national sport in '94.
Oh, yes, no question. It's playoff numbers. It's World Series numbers. Now, baseball, its postseason has to compete against the heart of football.
It does.
The NBA, its postseason
Gives it to itself because of it.
really doesn't compete with jack.
No.
There's no football. Baseball's super early.
It deals with the NHL. That's it.
Yeah, and it the first it competes against the NFL draft. It competes against some golf.
No, baseball's killed by dealing with the middle of football season because, you speak of golf, they're pretty smart from a PGA standpoint. They got out of football season. They changed their schedule to finish before football ever starts. They said, we're gonna as much as we can, being a niche sport, we're gonna own the month of August and we're gonna get the hell out of the way.
Smart.
And be done.
Yeah, it was smart. But World Series ratings are below NBA Finals ratings. They don't even touch NFL playoff ratings. Nothing, frankly, nothing does.
Yeah, no.
But those numbers are what they are.
I don't know the answer to this. Maybe I'm being an idiot and should, or there's a very obvious answer here. If the strike doesn't happen in '94, the best team wins. Montreal wins the World Series.
Okay.
Do they stay?
Yeah.
Does that keep them in
Yeah.
as a team?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you're an Expo fan, that was heartbreaking. You went, screw it. I'm done.
Because they were the best team, no doubt.
Can you imagine if the Saints were 12-1, and then all of a sudden,
we're done.
We're done. imagine crestfallen.
Yeah.
You don't recover from that.
Kill the franchise.
Absolutely.
They move
In a city where
3 years later.
Yeah, something like that. In a city where hockey's king, yeah, you're done.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that too.
You're done.
You're already the niche sport.
Yeah.
But they probably did fine in '94. They had a fan base.
Oh, yeah. Of course. They were a great team.
Very underappreciated team.
Because that Braves team was a great team. And
I didn't realize they lasted through '94. So I'm wrong. They went another 10 years. I didn't realize that.
In Montreal?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they fell off dramatically.
Yeah, Montreal was a team from '69 to '04. I was thinking expansion, but they were the Nationals. They're not the
That '94
Marlins or the
team
Rockies.
was amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Because they were better than one of the great Braves teams. That Braves team was great.
it was the team that won the World Series the next year.
Yeah.
That finally did it.
Yeah.
Just
Was that Raines and Dawson and
Larry Walker, I think, was on that team. Martinez was on that team.
John Wetland, I think, was on that team. Did you see his latest stuff in the news?
For the second time in team history, 5 players were named All-Stars on that team. Moises Alou, Will Cordero, Darren Fletcher, Marquise Grissom, and Ken Hill. So I might have been a little off.
Yes, it wasn't Dawson. It was post-Dawson.
Okay. Real quick, we have time. Nobody cares at this point. You're either listening or you're not. The 94 Expos.
I should have known that because Dawson was with the Cubs like in 87,
Yeah, I was only like 10
88,
years
89.
old, so I don't really count at this point. Who's their manager? I actually know this.
Felipe Alou.
That is correct, yes. Darren Fletcher, Cliff Floyd, Mike Lansing, Will Cordero, Sean Berry, Moises Alou, Marquise Grissom, and Larry Walker.
Marquise Grissom was a stud back then, too.
Well, he was the center fielder on the 95 Braves team that won the World Series because he caught the final out.
That's right.
Wohlers had the pitch, and Grissom caught it in center field. Off their bench, Rondell White, Lenny Webster, just kind of glancing. Pitchers, Jeff Facero, Ole Miss guy, Pedro Martinez, Jeff Shaw, John Wetland. Yeah, anyway, yeah. Yeah, I did see Wetland stuff. Just, ooh. Kind of a forgotten guy, too, a little bit. Had a lot of success there for a while early on with Rivera, and then whatever. All right, let's see. We got basketball tonight. We'll have some type of coverage from the game. I don't know. Neil talked about that a little yesterday, but Ole Miss in Florida, 5:30 for that one, if you'd like to flip it on your television. And then we'll have some baseball as the week moves along, too. They are full steam ahead until February 15th against Wright State. Media Day not until February 12th, but obviously we'll have coverage prior to that. Some recruiting going on, some recruiting this morning. Russell talked to Jerry and Ely. Those quotes up at rebelgrove.com if you missed them. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.